Well, City have gone ahead to obviously lose 4 games consecutively, and it's the very first time that Pep has gone ahead to experience such a bad run in his entire career. Remember, he came in through into managing Barcelona in I think 2008 season, after they were knocked out of the Champions League semi-finals by Manchester United, and in that year United went ahead to obviously win the Champions League. And then Rijkaard was sacked, Pep Guardiola came in through, and ever since Pep Guardiola started managing Barcelona in 2008 to Bayern Munich to Man City, he has never lost 4 consecutive games in all tournaments put together. One might ask, is it really true? Yes. He lost 2-1 to Spurs in the Carabao Cup and got knocked out. He lost 2-1 in the Premier League to Bournemouth. In the midweek, he lost 4-1 to the side of Sporting Lisbon, and today he has gone ahead to lose by 2-1, and he was really taking a lead. Erling Haaland ending his semi-drought goal scoring period, and guess what? It's another loss has gone ahead to obviously registered by the side of Man City. Welcome to the Rokani Media Football. How are you guys, and where are you watching us from? It's the match reaction as City has gone ahead to be shocked. And this is what I tell people, that it is really gonna be a hard season for Pep Guardiola. And there are some Arsenal fans who really engage me in my DM, especially on WhatsApp, and they always ask me, Rokani, Arsenal is really doing bad. I'm like, don't you see that even other teams are really doing bad? Especially City, a team that many of you went ahead obviously give what we call the favorites to obviously take the league. So we are powered by Mono Gadgets, dealers in brand new phones and brand new laptops. Even if you want a used phone and a used laptop, call them on +256 70 99 88 665, and the rest will be history. That is Mono Gadgets for you. Now, City are really having very many injuries, if at all you never knew. And to show you how the injuries have gone ahead to affect them, look at how they went ahead obviously start up into their team. Obviously, it has been Simpson Pussy in the central defense with Vadio, right? Then Rico Lewis was played as a left back, and then Kyle Walker was played as a right back. Kovacic, Savio, Foden, Gundogan, and Nunez, with Haaland leading the line. And when you look at this side, you obviously have a thought that even if they're playing against Brighton, they can obviously figure out a result. But I tell you what, from the minute they scored the goal, they never really got back into the best phase of their game. They couldn't obviously come into the area of Brighton. Brighton could press them left, right, and center until in the 78th minute, when João Pedro went ahead obviously level the game, and he came off the bench, João Pedro, and went ahead obviously make it 1-1. Remember, Erling Haaland had gone ahead obviously score in the 23rd minute. Remember, he had taken very many games without scoring, and finally he found himself on target. Remember, in the midweek he got a penalty, and obviously he hit it onto the crossbar. Then Matt O'Reilly went ahead obviously to score in the 83rd minute, meaning that in just 5 minutes, City were down by 1-0 against that side of Brighton. And Brighton are a side that has gone ahead with a shock of very many big teams there. Man United was one of those. City has followed, and very many other teams are really going to test the ruthlessness of this team, because they play with a lot of freedom, and the way they compose themselves and what they do from the start of the game is what they've always gone ahead to do throughout. So they don't change their game, they don't change their style of play. That is it. And they've always gone ahead to obviously come up and obviously put in a required shift of football all possible. So that is City for you. And Pep Guardiola has lost 4 games in a row. And on the Premier League table, before we go to the Premier League table, let's show you what the stats were into that game of football. You get 10 shots by Brighton, City had 15. 4 shots on target by Brighton, City had 6. 39% ball possession by Brighton, City had 61%. 419 passes completed by Brighton, City completed 643. Then 87% passing accuracy by Brighton, City had 89% passing accuracy. 12 fouls by Brighton, 10 fouls by City. 3 yellow cards to both sides, no red cards issued to either sides. Then 3 offsides to Brighton and 1 offside to Man City. 0 corners to Brighton and 4 corners to the side of City. So that's how everything really went ahead, obviously go down at the Falmer Stadium, where City went ahead, obviously find themselves in the position of really losing that game of football. How has that gone ahead to affect City and how the table really looks? Now, Liverpool, 11 games, and they are winning against Brighton, against Aston Villa, though it's not yet done. It's just the first half, 1-0 in favor of Liverpool. Then City is second, 11 games. They're having 23 points, meaning that Liverpool is now 5 points clear ahead of City. And Nottingham Forest is having 10 games played, and they're having 19 points. Brighton is having 11 games, and they're having 19 after beating Man City. I think it's one of those teams that hasn't gone ahead to lose a game at home. Chelsea, 10 games, 18 points. Arsenal, 10 games, 18 points. Fulham, 11 games, 18 points. Meaning that if Arsenal go ahead to win, they'll go to 21 points and close down on City. But Arsenal will be 7 points behind Liverpool. And Liverpool looks like they're in charge of this game. And I don't see anyhow how Aston Villa is really going to turn this around. But City has gone ahead to obviously lose. And I tell you, if these other players don't really make a return that is really early, then Pep will lose very many games. Good enough. This is their last game they've gone ahead to play, and they're going to be going into the international break. And maybe after the international break, these players will be back to see to it that they really go ahead, obviously come and save their team. But what does it mean to Pep Guardiola? You know, I think he has dominated enough. And now, time has come for him to obviously test on the bitterness of the medicine being offered or being prescribed by these other teams in the Premier League. That is it. Pep Guardiola is a very good guy, and he's a very good coach. Obviously the best coach in the post Sir Alex Ferguson era as far as club football is really concerned. But I tell you what, injuries have gone ahead to attack him. People have always gone ahead to say you shouldn't blame a manager. You shouldn't come out and obviously say a team is really having injuries. And I'm like, all right, you who spoke it, you support City now, and you're gonna come out and tell us that injuries are really disturbing City? Because if you don't have Akanji, if you don't have John Stones, if you don't have Nathan Ake, if you don't have Ruben Diaz, you get, how do you come up and obviously formulate that team? You don't have Rodri and very many others. It's very hard for you to obviously come up and compete at the wavelength that these other teams are really competing at, I tell you. So it's really very hard for Pep Guardiola, and this is how injuries are really bad. And they've gone ahead to bombard him, and he has to obviously find himself really returning from the international break. And when he returns, he's really going to be playing Liverpool, if I'm not mistaken. Right? Let me look at the next 4 fixtures. Let's see. City on the 23rd November, City are really going to be hosting Tottenham Hotspur. Then 1st December, City will be hosted by Liverpool. Then 4th December, City will host Nottingham Forest. And then 7th December, Man City will be hosted by Crystal Palace. You understand? Then later, 15th December, they're going to be hosting Manchester United. Then 21st, they'll be hosted by Aston Villa. So all those games are really tricky. They're having City, Liverpool, Man United. You get? All those aren't easy games. 3 of those are really coming in thick and fast. And all he needs is to see that his players have gone ahead to fully recover when they return from international break. And his hands should be crossed for none of his players to obviously get an injury, because if they do, it's really gonna make it hard for him to obviously come and compete and really get maximum points from those. Because if City is to obviously come up and obviously close down on Liverpool, they need to obviously land on Liverpool and beat it. That is it. So I don't know what your thoughts are, but Pep Guardiola is losing again, and they're gonna hate to lose to the side of Brighton. And I think Brighton last beat them, is it in 2021, if I'm not mistaken? But I like the structure at Brighton, the style of play, and the patience they obviously have in a coach. And when they get in players and they obviously build them and they resell them on a high. Guys, good night. Those going to bed, I'm out.